January 2nd, 1976, Destiny was birthed forth. That's also my birthday. So if y'all are trying to age me, I am 43 years old. And so there have been a lot of dates that you and I have written down, right? Like today. Engaged, September 28th, 2019. You'll write that down. The dates you remember. You remember what you were wearing that day you received that phone call. Whether it's from a doctor, good news or bad news. Whether it's your pet who died, right? In our case, our pet ran away 3 Thanksgivings ago. The day you were engaged, the day you were natural with your hair. I mean, there's certain days you remember. And as you write them down, memorize them, they build something in you. They mold you, they shape you, they crush something in you as you walk into your destiny. So for me, I remember like it was yesterday. It was the spring of 1998. And I was driving along one of these highways, 183. The music was blasting from my radio. Remember, it was 98. And a song came. It was sung by Bobby Mason. And what caught my attention about this song, it was a series of many questions. Who will be the one to lead the way? Who will be the one to shine the light? I mean, all these many questions. Until one paused. Who will say to the Lord, "Here I am, send me"? And I remember safely driving and stopping by the wayside, lifting my hands up, saying, "Here I am, send me." Now, I don't quite remember why I said that, but I felt it. And so, not writing that date down, I strongly remember it was the spring of 98. And so it was just like any other Wednesday, January 10th, 2001. It was a Wednesday. The sun rose in the east as usual. And I found myself going to church. It was a church in Dallas. Being born, raised a Seventh-day Adventist, I knew I had to be at church that night. And then towards the end of the service, the associate pastor's wife, Sister Anna Williams, came and grabbed my hand and she began praying. And she prayed with such authority and specificity. And in the midst of it, she says, "And I see you in the ministry of teaching and healing, and I see a companion standing by your side to support you." And I looked up going, I am single. What ministry of healing and teaching? But I went home and I wrote that date down. 2001, January 10th. 5 months later, this strong, steady, successful smother of a husband, Eric, was standing by my side, and we did life together. We did life so together until our first baby, Tiki, who's here 15. And for the parents in this room, you know how you usually think, okay, we'll get married, wait for 2 years, and then 3 years maybe, finish, hustle, career, all that. And then when the babies come and all, nah. Nobody prepares you for the challenges. You don't, in your grandeur plan, there's nothing like a challenge. So before 2 years, we had Tiki. And then within another 2 years, I was pregnant again. And I was like, oh yeah, we've been there, done that. We got the pregnancy in the bag, and yay, let's do this. But I can tell you that even if you drew a map or a picture of what would happen on July 24th, 2008, I couldn't fathom that. Because it found us in the doctor's office, Dr. Michelle Bankston, my husband and I, Eric. And Dr. Michelle said that Amani, our second child, has autism. Autism. So when people talk about the world coming down and crushing, I don't know if that's how I felt at that moment, because what I felt was a huge feeling of numbness plus shock plus disbelief. And this time Dr. Benson is talking about autism and being punctuated with letters and abbreviations of PPCD and ABA, and all I could think of was autism. I circled that, autism. And as we drove home, I don't remember if we talked on the way, but that feeling of numbness began to wear out, and a strong feeling of reality began to sink in, because I'm about to face this boy who has autism. And so later that night, I Googled autism. Bad idea. Because what spewed from the computer was links and pictures and words of neurological disorder and cognitive disorder and language and this, and how they're not able to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I shut down the computer. And I cried. I boo-hooed as I sat on my floor and thought about how Amani stayed 9 days in NICU, neonatal ICU. He had jaundice, he had a bubble in his lung, he had pneumonia, he had swallowed amniotic fluid, he had tubes all over him, and I cried. And I remember this boy who is 2 years old, nonverbal, doesn't say any word, doesn't even say mama. And I remember reading, okay, so they say there's no cure for autism. They still don't even know what causes autism. And that's when it gradually sunk in my mind very severely, with such a point of, Musi, you caused your son to be autistic. You either forgot to do something when you were pregnant, or you did something that you shouldn't have done when you're pregnant. So yeah, it was you. So I wore that cloak of guilt and depression on me. It was so visible, like the weight of it. I could tell that I was getting fat because I was depressed. Remember Joseph with the coat of many colors in the Bible? My coat had 2 colors, guilt and depression. And at the behest of my husband, I had to go see a doctor. And Dr. Tambra prescribed an antidepressant, an antipsychotic, Prozac 37.5 mg, because I was depressed. So I swallowed that medication. I popped that pill like a problem every day. And I never told anybody that I was depressed or my child was autistic. I was suffering. I was suffering from depression. How dare I tell anybody about that? Enter culture and religion like an odd couple. I never told my spiritual family about it. And so, because I could hear them say, oh, Musi, just pray about it. Rabba Shanta it out of the way. Rebuke the autism. I'm thinking, hey, how you do that? On the other hand, culture. I almost could hear my folks and my relatives, some of them who are here, saying, Vaminto. Obarairo umbuli seito baba. Direct translation. Golly, that disease does not run in our family, child. So I never told anybody. For a year into it, I suffered. And all the while, I took Prozac, 35.7 mg. Amani still remained autistic. Amani was nonverbal, and he was a statistic. And so, one afternoon, just one of those lazy days on a Sunday afternoon, I don't remember what we're watching, something on TV. The boys were running up and down, and Amani, being on the autism spectrum, that's what they call it. And that's one of the traits is the hyperactivity. So obviously he was running up and down. And it seemed as though time capsule, just my mind, body, soul, spirit, will, all just aligned itself and asked, who is on the autism spectrum? Is it you or is it Amani? Ha! I slowly got up from the couch, took that bottle of Prozac 35.7 mg, and I flushed it down the toilet. And I began living for Amani. Every meeting, every of the educational meeting, whether it was his book of work, meaning the ARD, whether it was an IEP, I was there. I was there all the time, to a point where I could hear them say, if I had an appointment within, back-to-back appointments, they'd say, oh, loudy loud, here she go again. What is it? Well, Amani's mom's over here again, one more time. She's right here, come to check on there. And I'm thinking, good God, I am here fighting for my son. I was active in the community. Everything about me and Amani was blue. Blue color, autism. And I thought, good God, there's got to be more than this. And I remember one time saying, I have to come out. And it was one time that I was in Kansas. It was a women's event, about 300, 400 women. And this lady had just finished singing the song, Break Every Chain. And I was next on stage. And I was flooded, tears flooding. Because that song is the same song that I would play in the car when I was taking Amani to school. One hand on the steering wheel, just driving, and my other hand holding him. And Amani singing, break a chain, break a chain, break a chain. Amani would start singing before he could talk. And so we would break a chain together. And we would do that all day. And I would remember the words of Sister Anna Williams being in the ministry of teaching and healing. But the platforms I would be in, I would encourage these women about God's faithfulness and this, that, the other. And I would go home to my autistic child and say, Lord God, you sure have a sense of humor. My son has a disease that cannot be cured, and we're still trying to find out what causes it. But his faithfulness. And I was active in everything. So on August 8th, 2018, whatever the chapters of my life is right now, I was at work, and I work for this big financial institution in the world. I get a call from the director of Global Autism at Work, offering me the position of Global Vice President to run and to lead the Autism at Work program at my workplace. So what do I do? What does that mean, Musi? That means I am responsible of creating strategies where we have to hire individuals that are on the spectrum. I make sure that the talent of the neurodiverse is expanding, because that is an untapped talent. As I sit down and try to figure out how do we schedule and look around this, I teach and I train and I travel and I talk about autism at work, because Musi, the mother of this autistic child, in about 5-10 years, Amani will benefit from what I do today. So talk about making pink lemonade with raspberry flavor from lemons. When it's all said and done, our path of destiny or purpose may come from the pursuit of our passion, right? For some of us, it is through pain, problems, prophetic utterances. I have looked for Sister Anna Williams. I have not found her, because I want to shake her hands and tell her, look here. Whatever you spoke 20 years ago is now materializing. And so even as I think through and say, wait a minute, well, how does destiny look like? Because in 1998, when I pulled to the side and said, here I am, send me, I should have asked, hey, wait, what does that look like? Can I just get a glimpse and a peek at the experiences and the dates? No. Had I seen that, I'd say, wait a minute. So this part of depression, can you delete that part right there? And when it comes to Amani and autism, can you edit it somehow? And for those platforms where the light seems to shine, can you elevate them? Can you capitalize and bold them? Now, destiny is step by step, date by date, season by season. So all of you, if there's any one or two that have no connection of somebody who's on the autism spectrum, I beg you, I challenge you, find that person at your workplace, in the community, at church. You will find them, and find that exceptional ability. Because 1% of the world's population has autism. Now go do that math. Amani is 13. He's here somewhere. He talks 100 miles an hour. I wonder where he got that from. But he's vibrant. He plays any musical instrument by ear. Any. Give it to him. Plays it. And so, in the many journals I have written things and experiences, I have a journal that's blank. And I cannot wait to date the day Amani is healed. But until then, I'll be dating destiny. Thank you so much.